Did you ever boot up your Genesis and go, man, I wish I could play Master System games on this thing? Well, Sega thought of that too, and decided to release a device that would allow you to do just that with the Power Converter. So stick around as we go into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome officially to the channel. This is a series where we look at various different oddities in gaming that developers made to either get us more into the game visually or physically. Most have had influences on games and designs years past when they were active, and today I want to take a minute to talk about backwards compatibility. And this is kind of a more recent concern, or is it? Well, Sega certainly didn't think so, and to that end they came out with a rather clever way to extend the life of your Master System games by allowing you to play them on your newer system. Why was this a big deal? How did it work? Well, let's take a look and find out. Now, I think everyone of a certain age actually remembers the Genesis with its popular mascot Sonic, who's still around, and its slogan of Sega does what Nintendo don't. But this wasn't Sega's first offering. They had honestly been in the market for almost as long as Nintendo in the States with their lesser-known Sega Master System. Now, this wasn't the most popular system, coming in far behind Nintendo, selling roughly 10 million units to Nintendo's 60 million units or so. However, it did make money for Sega and solidify their interest in the home market. So, when they built the Genesis, they actually gave thought to the owners of the old console and potential newcomers by releasing this particular attachment. How this worked is you simply plugged it into the top of your Generation 1 Sega Genesis, and optionally you could kind of screw it into the back. Now, screwing it in wasn't necessary, however it did help with making sure the unit wouldn't move around much while you were inserting cartridges. This would allow you then to insert your older 8-bit cartridges, both card and cartridge types, into your Genesis. The top would open up for the more Tombstone-like carts, and the slot in the front was designed to take the newer My Sega cards. It even allowed you to reset from the top of the unit and still see your power light. Now, this was a little bit limited in its functionality because, as you can see, it was really built to fit pretty seamlessly onto the Genesis Model 1. This made it pretty much impossible to slot into the later Model 2 unit. My understanding is you could cut off the back part of the unit or pull it out of its casing and use it with the Model 2, but unadvisable is one word to use for that. However, there was a version made for the Model 2, but it was only released in Europe. Now, this was a pretty solid device. One of the very nice things about it, if you're a Sega fan you'll realize how important this is that it didn't require any kind of external power supply on its own. It could just pull what it needed from the Genesis itself. However, it wasn't without a few hang-ups. First off, once you seated it, you could only play Master System games. It didn't have the ability for pass-through, so when you wanted to play the older games, you would plug it in and it worked well, with only a handful of games that it wouldn't support, like Alien Syndrome. You could, however, use your Genesis controller to play your Master System games with the B and C buttons working on those games. You could even use your Master System light gun on your Genesis to play those games, and from what I found, you could even use your 3D glasses to play those games as well. This makes this a very well thought out design, not only for the Genesis but for this adapter, assuming you could find the games. You see, at least in my experience with this device, I wanted to love it, but I had issues loving it. As soon as I got one, many of the Master System games became very hard to find in stores, and there wasn't much of a second-hand market, which made this $30 to $60 add-on an affordable, if frustrating, accessory to own due to how hard it could be to find games in some areas like mine. Well, if you didn't already own a Master System. For those of you that did, I'm sure it was a fairly easy replacement for your original Master System, since it would play almost everything you owned with the original controllers, if you so desired, delivering a one-to-one experience and allowing them to save space by not having to use both systems and having them both connected at the same time. All in all, I think we can all agree that this was a very consumer-friendly move for those who could make good use of it or find good deals on older Master System games. Nintendo never really officially dropped anything like this outside the Super Game Boy, which we might cover at some point. However, what do you guys think of this one? Did any of you ever have one? And if so, how many games did you use for it overall? How well did they work with your Master System controllers? How well did it work with the Genesis ones? Heck, what are some of your favorite games on either system? Let me know in the comments. And while you're there, please leave this video a like. Also, if you haven't followed the channel, that really does help me out a ton. Until we meet again though, have a great rest of your day, and until we meet again, happy gaming.